Welcome back to the Rockman Power Hour, a podcast where we talk to the most interesting people in the world of pop culture and everything in between. And I am super excited because this week on the show, we have got none other than CAITLIN Cronenberg. Welcome back to the show. So glad you could join us again. If you have not watched this podcast before and you're finding it for the first time, well, welcome. We're really, really happy to have you on board as we get closer and closer to our 100th episode. Make sure you like and subscribe, and that way you will never, ever miss an episode. And let us know in the comments what you are enjoying and what you would like to see more of or less of. We're super open to criticism, and we're really, really happy you're with us, joining us on this journey because it is a fun one. Before I go any further, none of this could be done if I didn't have my best bud, sidekick, and confidant, and the Robin to my Batman, Mr. Ryan Stick. Is that a good intro for you?
I prefer the term useful lackey.
Listen, we have to, okay, look, Ryan's doing something that's very illegal right now, but it doesn't matter because at this point it is what it is. Ryan, you're wearing a very nice shirt. We can't talk too much about it.
Oh, when you said you're doing something very illegal right now, I'm just like scanning my brain I'm like, I don't know, man. I do a lot of things. I think they're legal. I'm pretty sure they're legal, but you know, in a day in the life, you never know. There's a lot of random bulk shit in it.
Did you do anything illegal today? No. No. You're wearing a very nice shirt today.
Yes, I am. Very nice.
So let's just say that. Let's just say we'll talk more about that shirt because I'm sure it'll make another appearance at one point. But
I figure I just live in this shirt. I'm just like, these are my clothes now. You know, where like Homer Simpson's like, you know, the white polo. Let's go with it. 33 years later,
still rocking it.
Yeah,
still rocking it. He's probably got a few of them.
No, he has like variants of Homer where it's just like I'm camping Homer, and it's pretty much just to make Burger King toys. But yeah, so this is the Burger King version of Ryan right now. But no, what you saw was the Burger King version. Now this is the real deal. We're just gonna wear this shirt until it disintegrates.
I want to thank our friends over at Studio House Designs as well for hooking us up with great shirts. I wore this shirt in celebration of today's guest. Now, I'll get to that, and we'll get to it in the interview. But our guest is CAITLIN Cronenberg, and her dad is David Cronenberg. I mean, there's no getting around that. It's not something I want to dwell on because she definitely has made her mark in the world on her own. But you know, the fact is, her dad is one of my favorite directors and just an incredible filmmaker. And when I went to go sit down with CAITLIN Cronenberg earlier today, I wore my Existence shirt, and I was really happy to be able to send the photo of CAITLIN and myself in this shirt because it is a Studio House Design shirt. And Existence is one of those really, really rad Cronenberg movies that not everybody knows.
Mm-hmm.
The ones that do get it. And when I walked in, she's like, "Nice shirt." I go, "Oh yeah, I wasn't sure." And she goes, "That was a good one to wear." She goes, "That's kind of like one of the ones that goes under the radar." I was like, yes, good choice. So thank you to Studio House Designs for that. Thank you to our title sponsor. If it wasn't for them, Ryan, there's a reason why they're right down there.
Mm-hmm.
It's Heartbeat Hot Sauce. And they are the heartbeat of the Rockman Power Hour. Without them, we would not be able to do this podcast. Hands down, they are the life force. They help us go. And
they make us taste good.
They make everything taste good. And I've been pumping this one out because I've been going through these bottles at a furious rate. I got to bring one of these for you because I have one for you. I forgot to bring it at your birthday party, but this is the new one that they did, the new collab with Laurent Dagenet, and it's called Salsa Verde. Ryan, just when I thought I wouldn't like a Heartbeat Hot Sauce flavor more than dill pickle serrano, this comes along. And we have been going through this, man. Every morning I have this on my eggs.
Oh, Rockman, those are fighting words.
Dude,
better than the dill, you say?
It is. Well, I'm not saying it's better. It's just, I'm really excited that there's another flavor of heartbeat that is that incredible. So check out Salsa Verde if you haven't tried it yet. It is really, really good. And use our promo code Rockman20 and you'll get 20% off your entire order. And you can use that code over and over again. And thank you to Audio Technica. Our friend Mike Marino at Audio Technica Canada has been nice enough to outfit us with these great microphones, these great headphones, and everything else in between. So we are sounding better than ever. So thank you to Mike and the gang over at Audio Technica Canada. Really, really do make great stuff. And today we debuted our handhelds that Audio Technica was gracious enough to provide us with when we were talking with Caitlin. And that was a lot of fun too. So, Ryan, we got to see the movie Humane.
Oh, yeah.
I loved it. I'm pretty sure you loved it too.
I really loved it too. Well, at first I was watching the screener like last night.
Yeah.
And I was kind of like, oh, hey, they're a family. I kind of nod off for a second. I think I like missed 15 minutes. And I woke up and, oh, this family, things took a turn. And and I'm like, okay, I got to rewatch this in the morning sharp when the brain is the most focused.
Yeah.
And I woke up and, because it's like one of those movies where it's just like, it requires the actors to be great. It requires the dialogue to be great. It's like, don't fuck around. Watch this movie for real. This is a film. So I'm watching it and I'm just blown away by how tonally things go. And my name is on the screen the entire time to make sure I don't pirate it. So every time something horrible would happen, I'd look up at the screen and it says Ryan Stick.
I know. That's so people, just as a little inside baseball. Sometimes when you're when they do press screenings or they do promo screenings for journalists and for people that are going to be doing interviews with casts or crew members or directors or writers, we're lucky enough to see the movie early. Sometimes if you can't make it in the theater, they will provide you with a screener. Between you and I know you feel the same way. I am not a big fan of screeners. They're convenient. You can watch them at home. I always try to stream them to my TV and I get to watch them at least on my big screen, but it's not the same experience as seeing it in the theater. But what they do is to make sure that you're not pirating this thing and you're not passing this to anyone else. Your name is on the screen the entire time.
Yeah. The
entire time. And then it says, whatever the studio is. And so it's like a watermark, so if you take pictures of this, your name's going to be there. If someone, if you rip it, your name's there. So you are ostracized in the business.
It's not even on the side. It's like almost in the middle.
Oh, it's right there. Yeah. So
it was where the action was.
Sometimes. Yeah. So, I mean, it's definitely, it can be something that you got to get used to, but you're lucky enough to be seeing this movie before everyone. And
I feel very lucky, actually. In fact, as we record this, there's a premiere tonight that neither of us could be at. And I'm jelly of that whole audience because I'm wondering what it's like, when you feel that kinetic energy in a crowd and you're all anticipating and, even though you're in a room full of strangers, if no one's being an asshole on their cell phone and they're all actually paying attention and are invested. Yeah. Sometimes being in a movie theater, you almost feed off each other's tensions. Yeah. And there is a lot of tensions in this film. And, we could talk all about it and kind of give it away, but I'll just say that what I really like about this film is that it is sci-fi technically, but the sci-fi is so under the radar that it's more this could happen. Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah. The cast is great. They put together an incredible cast. One of the leads is Peter Gallagher, who a lot of people remember as Sandy Cohen from I do know. Yeah. He plays a dad in this movie, and this is not the same type of lovable Sandy Cohen. Yeah. Different. Yeah. Definitely a different character for him. And another guy who's standout in this movie, of course, is Montreal's own Jay Baruchel. And it's nice to see Jay Baruchel in a role like this because, and don't get me wrong, he's been breaking away from that typecast that he had for a while as the kind of like the goofy guy, the nerdy, affected, like, oh, what's going on? I'm, kind of a little neurotic. He's not, he's breaking away from that. And, in Blackberry, he played, the co-founder. Oh man, I still want to see that. Good movie. That. He played, Mike, let me get his name right. Mike Lazaridis
from he was the co-founder of the BlackBerry, and Baruchel was amazing in that, and he's really really good in this movie. He's really good in this movie, and the whole cast is just phenomenal. And were you someone that watched? Were you a big fan of? Oh my God, why am I blanking on this? My God, I shouldn't.
My hometown.
No, not your hometown. It's Schitt's Creek.
Oh, no. I really I saw the first few episodes like 10 years ago, maybe.
Okay.
And
Okay.
it just, or well, not maybe not 10, whenever it debuted, and I was just like, I'm not sure this is for me. And unanimously from every single person I know,
Yeah.
they keep saying, stick with it. It ends so strong. It
Oh
just
yeah.
really becomes the show it is. And I know that one of the actresses in it,
Emily,
yeah,
Emily Hampshire. She
yeah.
plays. Yeah. So she plays one of the kids
Mhm.
that's in the house while they're deciding what they're going to do. And she was to me, like, I looked at her and I'm watching her. I'm like, why does she look so familiar? And her character in Schitt's Creek is completely the opposite of who she is in this movie.
Oh, it's call range, buddy.
That's
You know?
right. So, anyways, the entire cast is great. And CAITLIN Cronenberg did a bang up job directing this movie. It's her first movie ever. She's an accomplished photographer, and we talked about a bunch of stuff in the short time that we had with her. And I'm really glad that we were able to push this through and get this out right away because, again, I think this is an important movie. I think it's CAITLIN's debut, and her brother, Brandon Cronenberg, is, I think he's 2 movies in now. There's Possessor. Infinity Pool last year was one of my favorite fucking movies. I mean, that movie was so freaking good. And I'm just telling you, man, this family are great filmmakers. And CAITLIN is right there, man. She's, for a debut, not even for a debut, it's just a great movie, but for a debut, man, like, people are going to be talking about this movie. And I'm really, really excited that it's a Canadian filmmaker. It's a Canadian female filmmaker, and it's just a strong, strong offering from somebody who's doing this for the first time. So hats off to CAITLIN for knocking this out of the park. And Ryan, we were lucky enough to go today to Entracte Films, who are the distributor of the movie in Quebec, and interview CAITLIN in person, which was really fun because we haven't been able to do that a lot. So without any further ado, let's jump right into it. Our interview with CAITLIN Cronenberg. All right, here with CAITLIN Cronenberg, HUMANE. Got to see it a couple of days ago. Unfortunately, I didn't get to see it in the theater, but I got to watch it at home. What I loved about this movie, that it was familiar, but it was very original. And it's almost like you go in, you're like, I've kind of seen this before, but then, no, you haven't.
Great.
Were you going for that?
I don't think in so many words. I think it's... I thought that the concept was really original, but then at the same time, it's a family drama. Right. So we've all seen a family drama, sitting around the table having a discussion that gets heated. But I think that, at the core, that's what it is. But then the world outside of that is very different.
Right. And I think with, we see how shitty things can go with families. A lot of the time it's around money. This is around, like, if you're going to live or die.
And money.
Yeah. Of course. But I mean, at the root of it, you really see people's true colors. Mm-hmm. And what I love about it is that it reminded me of movies I saw when I was a kid, where it was kind of almost like a whodunit. You didn't know. It's like, it takes place in a small room. It almost could be a play.
Yes.
But you really don't know how it's going to turn out until the end. And even the end, I'm like, and then you're like, really?
Yeah.
So was that important to you to keep people in suspense?
Absolutely. I think that, especially when you are basically in one house the entire time, which we were for the most part, and it takes place over one night, I think keeping things interesting is so important. And I shot the film as written. A lot happened in the editing room. Okay. We had alternate endings. We weren't sure which way it was going to go. Okay. A lot of testing took place to get us to the ending that we ended up choosing. And I'm happy that we did, but as you say, it's surprising still. Like, people are still surprised by it. And I think it's important to keep people on their toes, especially when it is kind of a simple looking, there are very simple aspects of this film. It's a one room trolley problem play,
right,
family drama, and that is something that we all feel very familiar with.
Yeah, and there's a real apocalyptic feel to the movie. But I was talking with Ryan, who co-hosts the podcast with me, and we were saying, you watch this movie and there's little hints that things have gone to shit, but you don't overdo it. There's something Ryan had mentioned. There's not this big dramatic shot of the sky falling.
Yes.
There's just umbrellas, or there's stuff up in the windows to give you the impression that the sun is not good.
It's not good.
But then you see Jay's character, who comes out and you could see probably he would be a climate change denier. And he comes out and he sees the sun and he's not freaking out. He's not covering himself up.
He thinks it doesn't affect him.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of social commentary in the movie.
Absolutely. One of the things that I really set out to do was not make it too obvious.
Yeah.
And not have it be preachy.
Right. And it's not.
It's not. It's not up to me to teach people about climate change.
Right.
It's up to everybody
to
teach themselves and learn about climate change from reliable sources, and not me.
Yeah.
I'm no expert. So, it's the idea that the world outside this house is not an insane, chaotic, apocalyptic scene, to me is scarier than if it were the road, which I love. And I love the road, and I love the world that's built. And you don't, that's a film and a book where you don't know what happened to get us to that point. But this is a feeling this is a bit too close to home. I walk out my door and I see someone with an umbrella, but everything else feels the same. And I just happen to know that things are bad and they're getting worse.
Right.
And I think that's also part of this family believing that they won't be affected by this.
Right.
They think that their lives are going to be the same. They're in their little enclave. They think that this is all going to be fine. And I think a lot of us felt that way with COVID too. It's like you walk out your door, everything's the same. And then people are, keeping their Amazon packages in the basement for 4 days before they open them because they think that they're carrying disease. And you realize just how close we are to things just not being quite right.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny because when the pandemic happened, there was, being someone who watches a lot of genre films, there was a part of me that was just waiting for people to fall in the street. And then at one point I was like, okay. And then, you get through it and you're like, well, pandemics are usually 24 to 36 months. It's just the logic part of it when you're not caught up in the emotion. But this family, you can tell that they're dealing with a lot of past trauma. They're dealing with a lot of unresolved issues. And the people in the family who you think are going to be the virtuous ones end up being not so virtuous.
Are there any virtuous ones?
Right. We're not all 100% bad, and we're not all 100% good. And that's really prevalent with what goes on in that house.
Absolutely. And I think that's also very human. I've said before, I don't think that one's personality can change over the course of one night.
Right.
But you do get to see the layers of these human people.
Yeah.
And despicable people also have hearts.
Of course.
Lovely, wonderful people have despicable moments. I think we are inherently all over the map as human beings, and the experiences that we have can change the way that we act from day to day. And I loved being able to explore this family, their dynamic, and the way that they change but don't actually change.
Yeah. I love body horror. And when it's done tastefully, if you can do body horror tastefully, it really is effective. You nailed it.
Thank you.
Everything in the movie that is gross is just enough, and it's not over the top.
Thank you.
But it's really realistic. Like you really feel like that happened to the character.
Thank
you. How
you.
important was it for you to capture that and not make it over the top?
I think that, you make a choice.
Yeah.
I love movies where the violence is insane and over the top. It's a ton of fun.
Yeah.
But I think that, in keeping with this sort of absurdist satirical version of the world, this is violence that will probably not be as perky as they are after they get stabbed in the cheek or so on. But it's believable that these things don't kill you necessarily. I wanted there to be blood.
Yeah.
We're on a blood budget, to be honest. We can only afford a few gallons.
Right.
No, that's not why. It was a choice.
Yeah.
But then, I was so excited about, having the opportunity to do this cauterizing scene and really have the blood pumping out. And then watching it with an audience, they laugh every time.
Well, that's the thing. There's great, because you can tell, I don't want to give anything away, but you can tell that when the character's, offering to cauterize, they go in a second time, and there's not a lot of hesitation. They're like ready to go back because they're almost getting off on it.
And you know what? I didn't know that was funny.
Yeah, but it's also the way the actor. And
of course.
Again, I don't want to give anything away.
Yeah.
But the way the actor delivers the scene, the two of them.
Yeah.
It's it's really well done.
I was just focusing on how well my cast screams.
Yeah.
Which, you don't audition. I didn't audition with screaming as part of the audition.
Okay.
And then I was just pleasantly surprised.
Right. They're good screamers.
Yeah.
Jay is a really fun guy.
Yeah.
It was fun to see him play something a little bit different.
Yeah.
Usually he's playing, the goofy kind of lost, but here he's playing someone that you can tell has a lot of influence, who's a powerful person, who's hated but probably loved.
Yes, by some.
What was it like to direct him to go in that direction?
Well, Jay is just a fantastic actor.
Right.
And a fantastic person. He embodied that character so easily and so quickly. And, talking to him about it, he loves having the opportunity to play someone who's so despicable because you don't get to do or say those things in real life.
Right.
But really, I thought of this so much as adult Jay being a grown-up, with a child and a suit and and a job that is, on television, government related. And it was so fun to have the opportunity to kind of witness that.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't, as you say, he's often this goofy friend.
Yeah.
He's comic relief, which he still is in this film.
Yeah, but he plays a real heavy character.
But he plays a heavy character who thinks he has power, and then realizes he's powerless.
Where was this shot?
It was shot in Hamilton, Ontario.
Okay, it was shot in Hamilton. Was it a big challenge to find the right house?
It was a huge challenge.
Because the house, there's reference to it when people come in and go, like, when Bob comes in, and sees the house, and he's like, "Oh, I love all the stuff that's kept and the cachet and all that."
For sure, it was so challenging as well because Michael's script had the house as a Georgian colonial layout,
right,
which is a center hall, and so we spent years planning for what it would be for that kind of layout, and then. That's a harder house to find in Northern Ontario, Southern Ontario.
Yeah.
It's not an easy one. And so then when we found Ravenscliff, we drove up and Michael looked at me and he said, "Bad things happen here."
Wow. And have bad things happen there?
I mean, probably.
Right.
I think it's for sure haunted.
Okay.
But, one guy lives there by himself in this insane house. And so... we cast the house first, and then we took the floor plans and studied them and sort of redirected the action to fit with the house.
Right.
And then I'm so glad we did, not only because it looks amazing, but because we actually practically shot it in the same house.
Which is great.
And it gives the characters also a sense of being at home. Mm-hmm. Their green room was in the house.
Yeah.
They're, every day we're in the house, all of us in the house living there basically together.
Yeah, you can feel that the cast, like their characters are comfortable, like they've lived here.
Exactly.
They grew up in this house. You feel that. You feel that.
And especially when you only have 20 days to shoot.
Wow, you shot this in 20 days?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
We didn't have rehearsal time. We didn't have time for the cast to, hang out with each other for weeks on end before we got to shooting. So having all of us kind of staying in the same space for large chunks of the day, it really brought them together, and it brought us as a crew together too.
What's next for you?
So much stuff.
Yeah?
Yeah. Well, I'm launching a brand.
I was going to ask you about that. Words of Mouth.
Words of Mouth.
Which
I'm wearing here.
Yeah. So I got a chance. I was lucky enough to see a bit of a sneak peek of what's coming. It's really cool.
Thank you.
Really cool. So where did that, I know you're obviously, people know you're an accomplished photographer, but where did the influence or the idea come to launch a brand?
Well, Words of Mouth has been a photo series that I've been working on with a makeup artist friend of mine, Amy Harper, for a long time. We started it kind of post early days pandemic when we were just desperate to see people's mouths again and also
I love that.
have a creative outlet. We're two busy working moms who were dying for something that we could really get into during that time. And then the project just it's an ongoing art project, but the idea of launching it as a brand really just came from the words and the way that text looks and the way that text feels.
Yeah.
It's something I've always been fascinated with. It's just so satisfying, and it's so, it's so mathematical and architectural.
Yeah.
And we thought, what if we brought this off of the page?
Right.
And, I 3D print all the words that go in the mouths. And I'm holding this thing and thinking, well, I would wear that.
Right.
You know? So that's really where it came from. And then partnering with incredible, badass women to put this company together. And then just the fact that we're launching it 1 week after the movie comes out was
crazy.
We didn't plan for that timing. That's just what happened. And so we're leaning in.
Yeah. I don't want to give anything away, but I saw this one candle.
Yeah.
That I was like, I need to fucking have that candle.
Yeah, there's some good candles. The candles are happening. I'm making the candles myself right now. So
that's great.
Any candle you buy is
you have made it?
Handmade by me in my home.
And film-wise, do you already have other projects on the go?
I have projects I'm excited about.
Okay. Nothing
has materialized to the point at which we're going.
Right, but it will.
I really hope so.
Yeah,
I think
this is like I'm pointing because they're behind us, but this is really going to make people go, oh,
thank you.
There's another one. That's good.
Thank you. I feel very lucky to have had the opportunity to make one film.
Yeah. And it's a good movie. I got to tell you, like, I really, really enjoyed it. And, and I know that, everyone's going to ask you about, the lineage and where you're from and all that. But you stand on your own with this.
Thank you.
And you come from an incredible, like, you already come from a great filmmaking family.
I appreciate them.
Yeah. But man, you really, like, if you had to show them, go, oh yeah, I'm here, you did it.
Thank you.
So
I appreciate
I commend
that.
you on that.
Thank you. Well, I hope I have another chance to do it because it was.
We'll be back here again talking.
It was really fucking fun.
Yeah. So this movie and our thing about it is that, like you guys talked about, and thank you for bringing that up, that, there is the sci-fi in it and it's not too much. And what I really liked about it is that because of COVID and because of the pandemic, pre-2019, everybody, like in the thing, every time someone's all locked in together and they all go crazy, I'm just like, God, you guys are so intense. And then seeing this movie and, like, people get locked in the house, stuff happens. And I look at it and I say, I've seen people go nuts for a lot less.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, man, I mean, it's topical. I think everybody can kind of relate to it at this point because it's something that we've kind of all kind of been through. Do you know what I mean? To a certain degree. And we can relate, and you can relate that it's a family drama. We can relate that that we're we've all had infighting at one point with our family. We've all not gotten along with extended family, even immediate family, parents. So it's very relatable. You know what I mean? And one of the first things I said, in our interview is like, this movie feels extremely familiar yet original. And I think when you can achieve that, we can bring somebody into a movie, create something where they're excited to be there, because it's an event, which for me this was. You're able to give somebody something that they're like, I think I've seen this before. This seems familiar, but then lure them in with that ease of like, oh, okay, I'm going to be all right. I've seen this before, and then hit him over the head with something original. That's exactly what this movie was able to do. And let's talk about that guy who played Bob. So the guy who plays Bob, his name is Enrico Colantoni. Okay. Now, this guy. You said you've seen him in other stuff, right?
Yeah, he was in this great sitcom called Just Shoot Me with a bunch of incredible actors. And he was just great. And then I saw him in this it's interesting, this TV movie about the life of Celine and career of Celine Dion, except it's kind of like the French Canadian in me. Like, it's a little blasphemous because it's a totally English production, and
Right.
all the pronunciation, there's not a drop of French in there whatsoever. It's like, we have to go, Celine. It's just
That's
funny, and there's no French accents, and and there's no kind of like, subplot of just, hey, I'm a Quebecer, and fuck you for not acknowledging that, and they didn't have any of that. So whatever.
Well, he stands out. His character is very, very like, by the book with what he's doing. And I don't want to give anything away, but he's a very important part of the movie. And let's just say Enrico Colantoni is somebody you should watch out for. And I want to go back and see some of his past work, because right away I was like, who is this guy? He's great. And he did it
awesome. He's always good.
Yeah, the whole cast is great. So
in a funny made for TV Celine Dion movie, he still crushes.
He crushed it as Renee Angelou. Yeah. All right. So Humane is out in theaters as of now. You can see it. It's on video on demand, and you can also see it in theaters in Quebec, and I believe it's going to be opening up in the rest of Canada. I encourage people to try to see this in the theater if you can. I did not get to see it in the theater, but I'm going to go this weekend and see it. And it's great. It's really, really good. So hats off again to Caitlin. Check out all of the stuff that she has coming up. And I did ask her if she had another movie on the way, and what did you think? I mean, she kind of seemed like she might have some projects going on, but she didn't want to give anything up.
I don't know, man. I think a multi-talented person such as herself has a few things in the old utility belt, old chum, and when evil shows its reary head, perhaps another film will show its face to itself.
All right.
I don't know, man. I got excited. My microphone sounds cool.
It does. You sound amazing. Okay, yeah. Ryan, thank you for doing this with me. Thank you for helping me pull this together really quickly. I want to give a big shout out to the folks over at Entracte Films, Melanie at Entracte, for helping us with this and for offering us this interview, which we really enjoyed. Thank you to CAITLIN Cronenberg and to everyone else involved. The movie's great, and I encourage you to go check out Humane. It is really, 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 really a fun movie. And if you're into post-apocalyptic, dystopian family drama,
fighting,
little body horror thrown in, this is the movie for you. Thanks to our friends over at Heartbeat Hot Sauce, the heartbeat of the Rockman Power Hour. Check them out at heartbeathotsauce.com and use our promo code Rockman20 and get 20% off your entire order, as many times as you like. Also, thank you to our friends at Studio House Designs. Thank you to Audio Technica Canada for hooking us up with all this great gear. And thanks to all of you. Thank you to my co-host, Ryan Stick. And thank you to our producer, Julia Kajerski. And until next time, we'll see you on the Rockman Power Hour. Oh, don't forget, like and subscribe. It's important.
Please like us. Two grown men asking a bunch of people to like them.
Just like me. Like me. Please like me. Like me. Hey, thanks so much for watching the podcast. We really appreciate your support. And if you're enjoying the podcast, click this link right over here to watch the next episode, and click right over here and subscribe. And that way you won't miss anything.